Okay, this is Unit 13, Lesson 1, Circle Fundamentals. Okay, before we get any farther, if you've got any idea at all that you might have a question, or if you want to prepare to have a question, then you should be able to get yourself a piece of paper and something to write with so that you can keep it with you. If you come across something in this presentation, then you simply pause it and write down your question, bring it to class tomorrow, and we'll be glad to cover it before we go into any kind of assignment. Okay, so let's take a look at the circle fundamentals. Okay, first thing they want us to do is to label the fundamental parts and terms associated with a circle. So we start with a circle and let's label all the things and point with arrow pointers showing where they are. So first thing we have is we have a point on a circle, that's point E. An interior point is point F because it's inside the circle. An exterior point would be like an example of point G, which is outside the circle. The diameter is going to be represented by the segment AB because it goes from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle and it goes through the center, which is C. So center C is the center of the circle and it's also the name of the circle. So if you see this, they would call this simply circle C. The radius of this circle is CD. Okay, so segment CD is the radius. All right, so the next thing is the diameter of D, which is represented by the lowercase d here that we have on the screen, of a circle is 2 times the radius length, which is represented by R. So the equation that goes with it is simply the diameter length is equal to 2 times the radius length. Okay, the circumference is represented by capital C, and the circumference of a circle is, in this case, 2 pi times the radius, or simply pi times the diameter. And the area A, which is always what we use for representing area, is A is equal to pi times the radius squared. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So examples 1 through 4 we have here on this slide. So here's the circle that we're using. Okay, so let's see what they want for example 1. Example 1 says, what is the length of the diameter? Okay, well, the only thing that we have marked here is the radius length. So the radius, we remember from the equations that we just got a minute ago, is simply half of the diameter, or the diameter is twice the radius, whichever way you want to say it. So we take 2 times 12 and that gives us 24. So 24 centimeters would be the diameter of this circle. Okay, then they want to know what's the area of the circle. Okay, so we need the radius to find the area. So they gave us the radius is 12. So we plug it into our formula for the area, which says that pi times the radius squared. So we plug in the 12, so it becomes pi 12 squared. So the area is 144 pi if you want the exact area. The approximate area that's decimalized is 452.39 square centimeters. Okay, example 3, they want us to name all the shown radius segments. Okay, so we have 3 of them in this case. So we have CD, segment CD, we also have segment AC, and we also have segment BC. Or as they have here, CB. Okay. All right. Then they want us to name all the shown exterior points. Okay, the only point that's shown here that's exterior to the circle is point F. Okay, so let's look at some more examples. Examples 5 through 8 are on this slide. So what we have here is we have the same diagram we were talking about earlier. So example 5 says name all the shown interior points. So there's only one point that's shown that's interior because the points that A, B, and D are exterior. Okay, well in this case we'd actually have 2 because the point C is also there. I don't know which one we got yet. So point C and point E. Those are the interior points shown in this diagram. When they're talking about interior or exterior, they're talking about those points, exclude points that are on the circle. Okay, so what is the length of the radius? The length of the radius, as we said earlier, is 12 centimeters. Okay, they want us to name this circle. So we find the point that's associated with the center of the circle, in this case C. So you can write that either as the symbol circle C, or you can write it out as circle C. Okay, then lastly they want to know what is the circumference. Okay, so with the circumference, since we only have 12 given to us, which is the radius, then we're going to put that into our formula, which says that the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. So 2 pi times 12 gives us 24 pi, which is the exact circumference, or the decimal approximation is 75.40 centimeters. Okay, let's move along to example 9. In this case, they want us to find the diameter, the radius, the circumference, and the area of this circle. Okay, so here's the circle we're given. They give us the measurements of a right triangle that's inscribed in the circle. Because the hypotenuse goes all the way across the circle and also goes through the center of the circle, that means that that is the diameter. So we can find the length of the diameter by using the Pythagorean theorem. So the diameter length comes from this. Okay, the diameter squared is equal to 10 squared plus 6 squared. So the diameter is going to equal the square root of 100 plus 36. So the diameter is equal to the square root of 136, which approximates out to approximately 11.66 inches. Okay, we need to use that in order to find the radius, because to find the radius, since the diameter is simply the radius times 2, we divide the diameter by 2, which gives us that it's 11.66 divided by 2, which is approximately 5.83 inches. Okay, the circumference is going to be, and the simplest thing to use here, since we know the diameter is 11.66, we're going to multiply that by pi, which gives us approximately 36.63 inches. Okay, the area is going to be pi times the radius squared. So since we found the radius is 5.83, then that's what we're going to use. We're going to square that, multiply it by pi. So the approximate area of this circle is 106.78 square inches. Example 10, once again they want us to find the diameter, the radius, circumference, and area of the circle. The perimeter of the square that's inside the circle is 36 feet. Okay, so looking at this, here's what we got. All four sides of the square are going to be whatever 36 divided by 4 is. So when we divide that out, that's going to give us 9, because the side is the perimeter divided by 4, since it's a square. That's equal to 36 divided by 4, which is 9 feet. Okay, at this point we need to find the diameter, which would also be either of the diagonals of the square. So once we do this, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this, because this means that we've got each side of the square is 9 and 9. So that's going to be the diameter is equal to the square root of 9 squared plus 9 squared, which is equal to the square root of 162. That's the exact diameter. Okay, but that approximates out to 12.73 feet if you're going to decimalize it. Okay, so to find the radius, we simply take the 12.73 feet, divide by 2, which gives us approximately 6.37 feet. To get the circumference, we're going to take this and multiply by the pi times the diameter again, which is, since we know that's approximately 12.73, that's approximately 12.73 times pi, which decimalizes out to approximately 39.99 feet. Okay, we use the radius that we found, which was 6.37. We square that, multiply that by pi, which gives us that the area is approximately 127.48 square feet. Okay, I believe that's it. Yes, it is. So once again, if you've got any kind of questions, write them down on a piece of paper while they're fresh in your mind. Bring them to class tomorrow, and I'll be glad to discuss them before we go on to any assigned work. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.